Jack of the week. So I had one on here. Can't see issue start dates on the timeline, but sprint dates. So can we share? If I share, I'm just going to be very descriptive, and so that everybody can kind of follow along and understand what I'm talking about. But let me share my screen real quick, and y'all let me know if you can see this stuff. Okay, so inside of Jira, one of the community questions that we found was that when you are in a company managed project, you have this new and improved timeline. Now, I call it new and improved because Atlassian has recently changed the wording from roadmap to timeline. And in this timeline, you can put your epics. And once you create your epics, you can actually also create your stories underneath them. Now, the dates that you can put on here, at least out of the box, is you can actually drag. Whoops, I guess I already have some dates in here. Yep, you can just drag and drop your dates, and this is going to impact or be reflected by the start date and the due date of your issues, specifically the epic. So what, and basically in a nutshell, is your epic is going to have two fields, a start date and a due date. And when you define this colorful little bar here, that's going to populate a start date and a due date for that epic. Now, little pro tip, which we'll skip from the bottom, is the start date and the due date, while they are default fields in Jira, they're not out of the box in your screens. So you're going to want to go and add them to your screens if you want to see the start date and the due date in the actual epic itself. Hopefully that's clear to everybody, right? But the community question, right, is, well, how do we see the dates for these stories down here? Because by default, the stories dates are going to be reflected by the sprint that they're in. And so as you can see, this little diamond or this little triangle here says, hey, your child issues start date and end date exceed the start date and the end date for the epic. And you can't really alter it too much because they're defined by that sprint. And so it's problematic for folks that are trying to put their dates in here. Now, Rodney, before I go and answer and show people how to actually change this, I wanted to get your thoughts. Like, what do you think about start dates and end dates on a story?
Start date, absolutely could see. My problem with end dates is life is messy. Life is what happens when we're busy making plans. So I could see definitely having an estimate and having that on there, but having this is the day it will be done, it's just asking for life to make
Yeah.
other plans for you.
And so what I tell people, right? I tell people that like the Atlassian folk are not, they're pretty smart, right? They're not just there just, trying to take your money. Although it feels like that sometimes, right? But the reason that out of the box these dates are already like, see, like here I can't drag and drop a date. Like this is not possible. Although at the epic I can, right? If I went down to into this epic over here, I can just change these dates around and move things around very easily. But I can't add a date to a story. And the reason that is because stories should be reflected based on the sprint that they're in. Their start date is the beginning of the sprint, and their due date is the end of the sprint. And if your team wants to procrastinate and wait till the last day to do all their work, then that's doable, right? That's the laws of engagement of being an agile team. And so Jira kind of does that out of the box, right? So that's kind of why you're seeing this behavior. But it seems counterintuitive for like people that are more traditionally waterfall, because they're doing that cardinal sin. Ronnie, did you see that meme that O Street Solutions put up this week? Here we go. By agile, you mean waterfall and sprints, right? So a
Oh,
lot of
this
people,
one,
yes.
yes.
So a lot of people are quote unquote agile and they're doing waterfall and sprints, but because they're doing the waterfall and sprints, they're trying to put dates on these stories because there's one story needs to finish before the other, right? But that's not how agile works. Like agile is all about autonomy and entrusting in the team to be able to complete their stuff within the bounds of the sprint, whether they do it at the beginning, middle, or end. Again, that's all up to the team and whatever consequences they want to live with. But if you're going to be agile by doing waterfall and sprints, and you want to be able to put these dates in here, all you got to do is go to click on the ellipses up there, hit that configure timeline, and then scroll down to the bottom, and you will have a section here that allows you to select whether you're scheduling your child issues by sprint or you're scheduling your child issues by dates. And so you're going to want to select dates, which is then going to allow you to do the start date and the end date for that story. So now in theory, fingers crossed, I haven't tested this out because, you know, me not doing my offerings to the demo gods, I should be able to now just go to a story and simply drag and drop some dates that I couldn't do earlier. So that's how you change that. So that was a community question.